We are back on the show. This is a pause, and we start from the camp of the governing New Patriotic Party. The MPP flag bearer, Dr. Bawumia, is seeking to lead the party to an electoral victory in the December elections. Now, success for him will be historic. And the MPP, as well as the party, will go down in history as the first to break the 8th political cycle in the country. The success or otherwise of Dr. Bawumia depends on the campaign he is prosecuting. But more importantly, the record of the Akufo-Addo-led MPP administration. We'll engage Dr. Bawumia's campaign director of communication, Dennis Miracles Aboagye, shortly. But first, let's refresh our minds with the vision of Dr. Bawumia as we bring back essence of his first speech when he launched his campaign at the UPSA here in Accra.
I want a Ghana where we attain food security through the application of technology and irrigation to commercial large-scale farming. We will also promote the use of agricultural lime to reduce the acidity of our soils. We enhance soil fertility and get more yield from the application of fertilizer. Ghana has an abundance of limestone to do this. I will also prioritize the construction of the Pualugu Dam by using private sector financing to crowd in grant financing. My administration will also work to reduce the cost of public transport between 30 and 40% with the adoption of electric vehicles for public transportation. The public transport pricing formula is dominated by two variables: the price of fuel and the price of spare parts. Electric vehicles do not use petrol or diesel, and the spare parts are minimal. That is what will bring down the fares for electric vehicles. And the constant and large increases of fares that we have been witnesses will become a thing of the past. Under a housing for all policy, I will also have a major focus on the provision of public housing in the same manner that Singapore did. We will partner with the private sector to build large housing estates, as we have started doing, without the government having to borrow or spend. Also, the National Rental Assistance Scheme, which is working so well, will be enhanced to deal with the problem of demands for rent advance of 2 years and more. Ladies and gentlemen, as part of the effort to reduce the cost of living, my government will implement policies to have energy self-sufficiency at reduced cost through solar and other renewables with the application of market efficiency to the energy market. We will diversify the generation mix by introducing 2,000 megawatts of solar power and additional wind power through independent power producers to reduce our dependence on oil and gas by the end of my first term in office. Our dependence on oil and gas by the end of my first term in office. Introducing solar power will significantly reduce the cost of electricity. The fact that the current residential, commercial, and industrial consumers' power is still neither reliable nor competitive is the testament that the regulatory and administrative measures so far implemented have not fully achieved the objectives we have set for ourselves in dealing with the legacy issues we inherited. Therefore, like the telecom market, we shall work to bring efficiency of markets and expand competition from the more private sector participation in generation and retail. With reliable and cost-competitive power, we will attract more manufacturing capacity into the country, create jobs, improve services, export more products, and support our AFCFTA strategy to improve the participation of Ghanaian industries in intra-African exports and trade. Ladies and gentlemen, to assist in the transition to green energy, my government will abolish import duty on solar panels so that we can bring in more. I now turn to our natural resources. Ladies and gentlemen, as president, I will usher into Ghana a golden age for the maximization of the benefits from our natural resources like gold, lithium, bauxite, and so on. The key to doing this is value addition and Ghanaian ownership. We need a new paradigm in natural resource contracts. Some of the key policies I will implement to maximize our benefits from our natural resources will include the formalization, regularization, and regulation of environmentally sustainable small-scale mining.
Right, so that's the Vice President of the Republic. Now he is also has another responsibility. He is a flag bearer of the MPP, and his main task is to lead the party to electoral victory in December 2024, and that is just some few months away. Now, as we speak, he is campaigning in the northern region, but his communication director is here with me in the studio as we walk through what has happened so far, whether or not he's had any chance of breaking the 8. Miracle, you're welcome to Joy News.
Thank you.
And I was just surprised to see you here. I thought you were in the northern region.
We are crisscrossing. Mm-hmm. You know, the Vice President himself was up there in Northeast.
Right.
The next morning you saw him in Accra at the 3i conference. Then he's gone back to the north. He did Savannah yesterday. Today he's in the northern region.
Yes.
So we are multitasking. We are covering all spaces. That's how they say it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So far, how has it been? Tiring? I mean, I know that. I mean, the real work is still ahead of you.
It's been an exciting period, quite engaging. It's been fulfilling. I think that we are ticking the boxes as we move along as a campaign. The energy and enthusiasm from the people has been good. And you know how campaigns work. It's like a football match. Once the voters are receiving you well and you are getting the feedback and you are fine-tuning the ideas, it spurs you on. And so far, it's so good.
All right. Before we zoom into the campaign program messages and how these messages are being received, perhaps the NDC just finished a news conference at the party headquarters. Some key issues that came up. I just want to highlight some of them, and if you want to respond, I'll give you the opportunity. Fifi Kwete, the General Secretary of the party, says that MPP machination will not prevail, and they will make sure that the MPP hand over power when they lose power. They say that the comment by President Akufo-Addo that he will not hand, he doesn't see him fit to hand power to the NDC because the NDC would destroy his legacy, and said traditionally it's not right if somebody you took over from, you hand power back to him. He said they are not taking it lightly, and that they will ensure that power is handed over to them if they should win the 2024 election. They say that the EC has acted unlawfully for recruiting returning officers and deputies and using them for the limited registration exercise. The law, according to CR 91, requires that these officers, their names and credentials are published, and for them that did not happen, and that the 2024 will not be election as usual. These are some of the key issues that came up. I don't know whether you want to speak to some of them.
Well, you know, it looks as if the NDC, they are continuing their high level of unseriousness with the political business that we are running. I mean, the level of incompetence they show in government, they seem to be showing it in opposition as well. Elton, we are busy. We are on our 9th region. This is about the 3rd week of campaigning for our flag bearer.
You've already done 9 regions.
We're discussing very substantial issues that are quite crucial to the future of this country. One would have expected that for 7 years of being in opposition and for almost a year of the flag bearer of the NDC campaigning, by now we would have some competitive or alternative policies to be discussing and comparing to what it is that we're professing. But this continuous calling of press conferences and raising issues that for us are quite unsubstantial is worrying. I mean, you make a statement, the same statement or a similar statement to what the president says, and you add a condition. And so how does that become a conversation? The president has never said what they said. You are saying that you will hand over, the MPP will hand over if they should lose the elections. Did the president add the condition to it? So how are they similar? How are they connected? The president said that somebody that had beaten twice in an election, somebody that was in office the same seat that I was on and was completely incompetent. I don't see myself handing over power to that person.
But some have questioned the relevance of this particular...
But why not? But are we not in the political... Are we not campaigning?
This particular message.
Are we not in a political season? Are we not campaigning? The president also finds it fit to also campaign.
Is it really necessary?
Why not?
Such comments you come from?
Why not? So what? He should. How is he going to come? When I go out there to campaign and I say that I'm going to win these elections and I'll beat John Mahama, it's not necessary? If I say that I will not hand over power to the person that I've beaten twice, what kind of interpretation? Your interpretation and your reasons behind what you are saying is not the same as mine. He gave the precedence to it. He said that I have beaten him twice. I don't find him fit as president. I, sitting here, do not find former President Mahama fit to be president. And so if he says, I will not hand over power to him, and you call a press conference and you say, you will hand over if you lose, nobody is contesting that. Who is contesting the NDC on that? If they lose, would they come for power by force?
No, I mean, they don't have it.
Exactly. So it's like they set their own questions and they are answering them. They have nothing to do. They should cover our media space and our news space with substantial issues. You don't come out there, call a press conference, set your own question, respond to it, and you say, I should come and respond. The president never said what Fifi Kwete is saying. Fifi Kwete is saying that if you lose power, you hand over. The president never said that if he loses power, he will hand over. He never said that, did he?
No.
So
we have not heard him say anything like that.
So he's wasting our time. If they lose power, would they come for it by force?
That won't happen.
Exactly. So sometimes we shouldn't create storms in teacups and call all of us to come in.
Those who have issues with the president's comments say that he's the number one gentleman. So his comments must be seen to be united, rather than making it look like...
He's a politician. He's a leader of a political party. Why? Isn't the former president also a former president, one that has been a number one gentleman of the land before? He is leading his party. Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo is equally going to campaign for the MPP, the same way John Mahama is going to campaign for this political party and all the other politicians in the country. Nana Addo believes that, yes, we have difficulties and challenges in this country.
We'll come to some of these issues.
But strongly, there are strong legacies that must be protected, that are at risk in the hands of the former president. He shouldn't talk about it.
The NDC also spoke about the ongoing limited voter registration exercise. From your camp, are you okay with the way the EC has conducted itself so far? There's been pockets of, violence. There's been accusations of busing and then attempted registration of minors. From the camp of Dr. Bawumia, are you happy with the way the process has gone?
Well, I think that the question rather shouldn't be being happy. Should be about how we resolve some of these things. I mean, once we have a political situation, an electoral process, and our human interventions, you should expect that some of these unbecoming attitudes would come up. I believe that the EC, of course, struggled on the first day, but since the difficulties of the first day, it's been quite smooth with the registration process. The issue of registration of minors, I think, is uncouth, it's uncivilized, it's completely outdated, it's outmoded. It's not something that should be encouraged, and it's time for the laws to be applied as they should. Our law says that when you are 18 years and you have sound mind, you can register and vote. If you're not 18 and you're not of sound mind and you go to the registration center, you should be arrested. And the law should deal with you.
In future, the EC, before this registration, the EC had wanted to use a Ghana card as the sole means of identification. That would have addressed the issue of minors trying to go through the registration process. And I'm guessing that in future you will support this initiative.
We supported it. We supported it. The only thing is that we took the easy way out as a country when we needed to actually go that route. And the challenge was that, the only argument against the use of the Ghana card was that some people did not have it.
Right.
What we had to do, and I was saying it yesterday, what we had to do was to ensure that if you are going to register, as the registration has been open, and you don't have the Ghana card, we needed to empower the National Education Authority. So I can walk in there, register, take my card, and go and register. It's something that we could have done. And I think that going forward, we should do everything possible to make sure that
the Ghana card become the SWAT.
Because then there's no conversation.
Of
course. If I walk into the polling registration center and I have my Ghana card and it says my date, nobody is going to have a conversation around this. The guarantor system, so long as we continue to use the guarantor system, these things are likely to happen.
In fact,
so if I walk to a registration center and I'm holding a child that looks like, and I say he's 18, it becomes your word against right.
And since you brought in the issue of the guarantor system, now the EC says that if identify some people, they've guaranteed for more than 10 people. Somebody has actually guaranteed for 25 people, which is against it. The law said you can't do more than 10. And so they are going to hold these people before the court and prosecute them. But the NDC is also demanding for an independent bipartisan inquiry into the missing and what they describe as stolen BVR case. And they say they will not accept anything but a full accountability. Do you support this call?
I don't know the background to their demands. So I'll not be able to tell me whether I support or not. But I've always insisted that the EC is not our friend. The EC...
But you appear to be very cool with the way things are going. That's why the EC is
If there is any political party in this country that has gone on head-on coalition with the NDC the most since 1992 is the MPP. Almost all major reforms in our electoral processes were advocacy from the MPP. So don't even put it that way. We don't. The NDC, when they also have their concern, they should raise it. What is of worry to me today is that when we were being beaten on the street of Circle with horse whips, when hot water, and also you were there.
Of course.
You were reporting. When hot water were being poured on us. And
that picture of Gabi, yes, I dog.
When hot water was being poured on us by the security persons under their governance and with the EC, and we were raising concerns, where were they? What did they say at that time? Can you play back some of the voices from Fifi Kwete, from General Mosquito, from former President Mahama, when he was president? And the same EC were raising concerns, similar concerns, and they were quiet. Why were they quiet? That's why today when I hear them say that, the MPP are conniving with the EC, the question is, were they conniving with the EC? At the time the EC were whipping us, were they conniving with them? Is that the case? Is that the case that in 2016, 2015, when we were demonstrating and protesting and they were not supporting us, is it the case that they were in connivance with the EC? And did they benefit them? If it benefits them, then they should be worried. If they benefited from that, then they should be worried. But if they did not benefit from that, then they shouldn't be worried. When we have concerns with the EC, we raise them. In fact, you recall that when the EC wanted to do the district headquarters registration of the process, the very first one, we raised concerns about it. And we said that, listen, we believe that the registration should go to the electoral area or the polling station. So we would raise concerns when we have it. But the NDC cannot coerce us to join them to raise concerns. But because they never joined us when we had concerns with the EC. And in fact, there has never been a point where we have concerns with the EC and the NDC have joined us. They should fight their own fight. When the EC feels that whatever concern the NDC are raising are legitimate and within our laws they will listen to them, that should be their business. The same way they leave us on our own to fight our own cause when we have concerns. But I think that it's a democratic environment. Anybody that has concerns with the electoral processes is free to raise those concerns within the remit of the law.
But the curious nature of all these concerns being raised here and there is the fact that when a party is in power, they appear to be very okay with the way the EC conducts itself.
I haven't told you we are okay. I just told you that the first day of registration in my constituency in the Kwapi North, I was frustrated. And I have consistently insisted that I am not, and my political party, we are not PR for the EC. They should get their job done. They should speak for themselves. We won't say we are okay with the EC, but if we have concerns, we'll raise them. But if we don't have concerns, nobody will coerce us to come and speak when we have nothing to talk about. Right. At the moment, there was challenges on the first day. There were challenges on the first day. Subsequently, it seems to have stabilized. What were the challenges? The system was down, network challenges, even some of the computers were not switching on and all of that. Now it's stabilized. We have challenges with registration of minors by the NDC. In areas that we've had those challenges, we've done the right thing. We've completed the challenge form. There are places that the NDC are barring people from other constituencies.
They're also accusing the MPP of doing the same.
They should fill the forms. they should also voice out. So it's not the case that across all the registration centers, the MPP doesn't have concerns. It has concerns. We have concerns, but we are using the legitimate route to raise those concerns.
All right, Dennis Miracles Aboagye is my guest here on the pulse. He is the Director of Communication for the Dr. Mahama Bawumia's campaign team. And this time we're going to spend time to discuss the campaign, the message, and whether it is getting to you. If you have a concern, you can as well raise it. Leave your comments on our Facebook handles, on our social media handles, Facebook, YouTube, and of course, myjoyonline.com. And I will share it with Dennis as we progress on this conversation. So, Dennis, I mean, the Vice President is in the Northern region. This afternoon, I've scanned through some of the websites, some of the stories making rounds. I will cut government expenditure by 30 billion Ghana cedis if elected president. I am confident, comfortable getting closer to the Christian community. Let's start from the 30 billion that His Excellency the Vice President is seeking to cut.
Well, you know,
cut from where actually?
He's raised a few pointers. For example, the fact that he is going to utilize 50 ministers. That's a way of cutting down the expenditure. He's also raised the point about going into outsourcing of some of the recurrent logistical requirements to private sector, which would also reduce government expenditure. Because, for example, if you have the official pickup vehicles of some of the MDAs being outsourced, it means that you're going to cut down on maintenance, cut down on and all of that. So he's giving pointers as to some of the areas.
But if you outsource, you're obviously going to pay for that.
Yes, but it reduces drastically. I mean, that's why even in private sector, you have a lot of companies outsourcing. For example, you can hire people to clean your premise. There's a reason why you outsource. Because you realize that eventually when you run the numbers, you realize that outsourcing brings down some of the overheads and definitely you make some savings.
And I guess you've done the analysis before coming to this conclusion.
Of course. I mean,
it is a way to go.
Yes, of course. He's even raised the issue about PPP, or not necessarily PPP, but private intervention when it comes to even public sector infrastructure and delivery. And those are all, for example, if I give you a contract to construct a road, and I'm able to pay you in 18 months, you know it's lesser than when the road duration runs for 5 years. One of the reasons why public sector infrastructure is so high is the delay in payment. And so once all of these things are handled, it will all lead towards a reduction of the expenditure in that space.
And you're talking about 30 billion Ghana.
It is possible.
This is huge.
It is possible. It is very possible. I mean, the 3 areas I've mentioned to you already are significant. Very, very significant. The recurrent cost on running public sector alone, you have no idea.
Does this sit in the overall plan to reform the public sector?
I mean, it's part of the whole process. You know, public sector reform started as far back as Kufuor's era.
Right.
And it's all part of the whole process. We need to be able to get to the point where we realize that, yes, we are really having some balance in our output as against our expenditure. And there are ways some of these things can be done. Some of the things, it doesn't mean that they could necessarily have been done in the past. For example, Elton, you remember for so many years we were trying to get the national identification system. Right. When we speak about this, it sounds like a belabored point. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of these things, the foundation is identity. The fact that you can identify that Elton is not working at multimedia and working at the next sister station at the same time is the first point of reducing some of these waste.
Right.
And so now that we've been able to really digitalize a lot of our services and a lot of our processes and systems, clearly it tells you that we'll be able to get there. Today, look at us. We are doing GANEPS. And GANEPS, as we speak, is still being rolled out. That is the electronic procurement.
Right.
You can imagine how much savings we are going to do when it comes to electronic procurement. And there is no doubt about that we are really going to make a lot of savings in that space. But GANEPS really would not have been possible maybe some 10, 15, 12 years ago because a lot of fundamentals and infrastructure are needed. Today, the company that is on GANEPS, that is saying that I will be able to provide this service, has his Ghana card, or the directors have their Ghana cards connected to their business registration. The directors have their Ghana cards Ghana card numbers as their tax identification numbers.
Right.
These Ghana cards are connected to their bank account and all of that. So really, it now becomes very, very easy. We really have gotten to that point where a lot of these things can be introduced to be able to save us. So it's easy. Immediately it's mentioned, it's easy for somebody to say, why couldn't you do it?
Because those who are skeptical about this will point to the fact that we've had a ministry that is solely responsible for public sector reform. Yeah. Yet you have...
I am sure that ministry, I'm sure we would acknowledge that ministry also did a lot. Public sector has really come far, Elton. From the time where Park was in and Co became public sector ministers. We've come far. Today, even in terms of validation of public sector workers, it's improved, Elton. I was MCE.
Yeah.
Today, when we are going to validate staff at the district level, it's electronic. Previously, you know how it was. And that was when we had a lot of people who died 20 years ago and they were still being paid. We had people who were drawing on salary for. So we've really, really come far as a country. I think that those who started the public reforms from the Kufuor era, they did their part. I think that we've also gotten to the digital age. And we've gotten to the age where we need to improve upon them. And those are the things that Dr. Bawumia is preaching about. It doesn't mean that beyond the reforms or beyond the improvement that Dr. Bawumia will bring, there won't be the need for more.
Of course.
Exactly. Exactly the point.
So these are things that we should expect from 2025, is that the case?
Absolutely. And some have actually started. Not just 2025. There are some that are already work in progress. There are some that are ongoing. But clearly, when you look at what is being done, you realize that they would peak or materialize from 2025 going. But there are some of these things that are ongoing. A lot of these things that Dr. Bawumia speak of are things that are being developed and being, put in place as we speak. I mean, I spoke of GANEPS. It's crucial, it's critical. One of the biggest things that is going to happen to this country is electronic procurement. But it's being faced, it's been piloted, it's being rolled out. By the time we enter 2025, it's peaked. A lot of institutions today are being rolled onto the GANEPS, but not all of them are on it yet. And so by the time we enter 2025, where all public sector procurement is being done on GANEPS, you can imagine its impact.
So digitalization is the way to go?
No, all over the world. All over the world. You see, so long as you have human interface in things like this, you should expect difficulties and challenges. That is why everywhere in the world, we are infusing digital platforms in our processes and systems. All it does is that it helps to increase transparency, it improves accountability, and it removes waste and leakages. There is no question about it.
And talking about that, I mean, this week actually, at the 3I conference, it was quite emphatic about the improvement that through digitalization, ECG is enjoying, including upward, the revenue they are getting now is much bigger than before they digitalize their system. But the staff say that they cannot be blamed for whatever setback or obstacle that existed before the digitalization.
You know, one of the most difficult things for us in this country.
Tell me.
Is the fact the way we unionize and organize every offense. So today, Miracles commits a crime, and then I'm picked up at the police headquarters, and you see millions of MPP people amassed to the police headquarters, agitate, make noise, the next day I'm let go. Is it not a fact that there was a ransomware introduced into the ECG system when it was rolled out? Isn't it a fact that some ECG officials have been arrested? Isn't it a fact that some ECG officials are being are facing the law as we speak? So if a few people commit an offense in an organization, why should all of you make it look like it's not there? It is true. It is a fact. It is a fact that it happened. It is a fact that there were agitations. There were some
some pushback.
Yes, and it's natural. In fact, it's not only ECG. It's not only even public sector. Everywhere in the world where human is, it's difficult for us to right away accept change. That is why when you are introducing new things, there are change management systems and processes for you to ensure that people adapt. But this whole thing that anytime something comes up at multimedia, Elton commits an offense, and then all of a sudden the entire multimedia staff will come and say that won't work because you are talking about Elton, because Elton has done something. I think it's not fair to the country. It's not fair to the state. And these things happen purely because of politics. And these are some of the things that, after speaking about the political class and raising all these things, as citizens, we must begin to talk about. The fact that now it's becoming almost impossible for the political class to come and bring out issues of ills in our society is dangerous. You can't talk about anything.
No, I'm trying to understand. I mean, the kind of person we have as Dr. Bawumia, and how he thinks and how he goes around it. First was about GRA, some GRA, workers that, according to him, they are frustrating taxpayers and the business community, and he thinks it's not the best. And then he took the fight to ECG, some ECG staff calling them out and saying that they sabotage a process that had been put in place to ensure revenue is paid for according to how much has been consumed. I mean, is it a kind of leader you are bringing on that he will not keep quiet, but will take on an institution that seeks or that may seek to
be rest assured. Rest assured. He's not going to stop.
A sabotage in terms of economic development.
I can tell you that he's not going to stop. His is to work with all of us as Ghanaians and make sure that we fix our system once and for all. You go to the passport office today, and you go there, and there are frustrations. There are difficulties. Is the Minister of Foreign Affairs there? Is he there? Is she there? Is Ayoko Botwe there?
No.
But I'm sure that immediately you call this person who was frustrated, he will point fingers at Ayoko Botwe. But when you go to the passport office, it will not be Ayoko Botwe that is there. It will be ordinary Ghanaians who have been employed to serve Mother Ghana. So if Ayoko Botwe goes to the passport office and she realizes that there are deliberate attempts to frustrate citizens in acquiring passports, in putting impediments in their way, and she says that, listen, all of you, and I'm sure you saw that video, it said all those who are involved in that tomorrow don't report at work, then the union will come and say that you can't do that because you're a politician. How do we fix our society? Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will not keep quiet. Listen, when I was MCA, I had a course to worry about my revenue generation. I was always worried. Then on a particular occasion, I went out there myself with my internal audit guys to go and check who has paid property rate or not. I get to the first house, they show me receipt of payment. We look into the books, he has not paid. I go to the fifth house, receipt of payment. They look into the book, they have not paid. I was alarmed. Then we took all these receipts and came to investigate. Could you believe that a revenue collector in my municipality had collected close to about 300,000 Ghana cedis without recording it in the books of the assembly?
An employee of the assembly?
Yes, and has issued a receipt to the people. So I call a staff meeting, and then I raise this, and then because I'm a politician, my staff write a union letter that I can't speak. What kind of society are we building? What kind of environment do we think we can build for ourselves if we continue like that?
So what happened to this?
Do we really think that all the ills in this country is just because of the political class? How many are we?
So what did you do about this revenue collector who took the money and kept it?
We have to let the law deal with her. We have to let the law deal with her. Because at some point, we were able to recover some of the funds. She was a revenue collector in Okrase. It's known in my municipality. So the question is that if you encounter such a situation, what do we do? And if we continue to tolerate this, what will happen is that very soon, the political class will keep quiet. Because if I introduce change and I face resistance, and when I try to deal with the resistance, I'm going to have a situation where the citizens themselves will rise up against me. Then we'll all keep quiet. And that is what Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will not do. So he doesn't represent that. He's a change maker. He believes in radical changes. He believes in transformation. His is to provide solution. And he acknowledges that in providing solution, it will ruffle feathers. It will make some people uncomfortable. In bringing change, some people will have to shift a bit towards their left or right, and that would definitely cause some difficulties. But doesn't mean we should stop.
He is currently the vice president, so in terms of maybe decision taking, obviously the boss, Nana Akufo-Addo, will be the one at the forefront of it. Now, he's been talking, beyond the talking, in terms of action, how committed is he? I mean, people see him as, some are describing him as humble, very cool, somebody who, some people have doubts about how stern he might be. You've worked with him. Beyond the talks, what more is he willing to do to bring sanity, if it should be, in the public space? If
we want a problem solver for 2025 to 2029, it's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. I always say it. Dr. Bawumia is not your regular politician. The man wasn't a politician in the first place. He's a pure technical guy. Whatever he's doing now with politics is what he's learned on the job. His preoccupation is to solve problems. He's a problem solver. That is why the specific responsibilities that Nana Akufo-Addo gave to him, he is executing them with finesse and made sure that those things are done and done well. That is who he is. I mean, you don't have to scream and shout before you are seen to be assertive or stern or to be firm. That is not his style. Calm, cool, collected, but he will get the job done.
Okay.
Calm, cool, collected, but he knows how to move the team. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's biggest skill is how to harness all the talent and get us to work. And that's exactly what he's going to deliver to this country. Okay. He's going to give us the type of leadership that will bring on board the young, the old, mid-level, tall, short, fair, black, towards a particular agenda. And he's been quite categorical about how he's going to lead us to deliver on each of these sectors. Right. Pay close attention to his campaign. You'd realize that he's segmenting the issues and making sure that everybody within our economy, wherever you find yourself, you hear for yourself what it is that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is professing for you. I can tell you that one of the biggest things to happen to us and to happen to the future of this country will be a president in Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. I'm not saying this because I'm MPP. I'm not saying this because I'm director of communication for the campaign, but the evidence is there. This is a vice president that, without argument, everybody watching me this afternoon would attest that he is one of the best performing and one of the most vibrant vice presidents we've had since 1992. There's no question about that.
Let me deal with
it. You may not like him, you may not like his political party, but one thing you cannot take away from Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is his high level of credibility, his high level of integrity, and these are two crucial ingredients that we need going into the future.
Few issues so that we can... this issue about I'm confident, comfortable getting closer to the Christian community. It appears to be very key for the campaign. Is it because he's a Muslim? And then there are issues about what happened last week, whether churches should be taxed or churches should be incentivized. And somebody is asking me about the earlier comment by the vice president and then the subsequent one, which says that perhaps his comments were taken out of context and then he passed on a joke. The person is asking, at what point should you consider his comments serious and at what point should you consider them as a joke?
So first of all, you would know when somebody is joking and when the person is actually serious. The vice president, in his first statement, was completely taken out of context. And then, in of course, during the mischief, people peddled all manner of falsehood on media plus. So the vice president was asked a question by a pastor that, Mr. Vice President, there are advocacy for churches to be taxed. And for us as a clergy in this room, we want to know your position, that under your presidency, what is going to be your position on taxation of churches? That was the question. That was the question. So in fact, taxation of churches wasn't even part of his initial conversation. Okay. But the pastor solicited for that. Then he says that he doesn't believe that with all the services that churches are delivering, all the support that churches are giving to the development of this country, he doesn't think that churches should be taxed. Indeed, if there is anything at all, we should be paying them for all the things they do for us.
And this is the joke?
Oh, wait. Then, right after, the substance of this conversation, which is a very serious matter for this country, was put on the side. They had some media houses create flyers. Dr. Bawumia promises to pay churches. Dr. Bawumia assures, I will pay churches. So, clearly, you agree with me that what was being flown on the flyers were complete falsehood, had nothing to do with what he said. So what Dr. Bawumia sought to do at Northeast was to correct that mischief and to settle that score once and for all. So he said, when I was explaining to that question as to whether I'll tax churches or not, I still stand by it, that if you go to every corner in this country, you have a Methodist church, Presby church. In fact, 80% of public sector basic schools are schools that belong to churches. Everybody in this room, if you take 10, about 8 of them that went to Methodist primary school, Catholic Presby school. There are hospitals, there are secondary schools. He doesn't believe that these churches should be taxed. Indeed, they should rather be seen as partners. And that for him, he's going to treat churches as the foremost development partner under his presidency. And at the last time, he was only joking when he said that, we should even be paying them. And that's something people talk about all the time.
But he didn't tell us that he was joking when that comment was
Because made. He didn't say that. Because that comment of Bawumia says he will pay churches, that's not what he said. That is not what he said. In his comment, which I've described to you, he never said that he was going to pay churches. Elton, in our day-to-day conversations, don't you meet people and say, Miracles, what have you been doing? But you there, don't worry. I should even be giving you money, not the other way around. How does it imply that I should actually give you, I said I will give you money? So he was only trying to clarify that misrepresentation. Then, of course, because he has had an opportunity to correct that lie, they were not happy. So they go and pick. What is a big deal if somebody says that, I said this in jest? How is that a big deal, Elton? Why would any serious political party like the NDC To date, we cannot tell one single policy that they have to solve our problems. Why would this be their policy?
You've announced 24-hour economy.
What is 24-hour economy? You understand? You are a senior journalist. Can you use 30 minutes to explain to your viewers what 24-hour economy means?
Well, to ask me to explain, that would be speaking for them.
No, but you should know. You should know, because you should be able to even make meaning of that to vote.
I mean, the wording alone is self-explanatory.
So what does that mean?
An economy that should
don't you run 24 hours?
And not to work from 8 p.m. to 5 p.m.
Do you close, multimedia, do you close at 5 p.m.?
No, it's a 24-hour.
The hospital down there, do they close at 4 p.m.? In fact, Tiptoe Lane, you are Tiptoe Lane, they are your neighbors. Do they close? Is there a time you come to Tiptoe Lane that you cannot find wache to buy, or rice to buy, or a shop to buy from? So when you tell us that you bring 24-hour economy, something that we know is already in existence, and it's a demand and pull situation, push and pull situation, it's not enough. Okay. You must tell us, you see, 24-hour is a consequence of policies. Everything we do on day-to-day basis as an economy, as a country, could lead to a 24-hour, an 8-hour, a 12-hour economy. So don't just come and tell us you do 24. You are not Jesus Christ. You are not a magician. What is it that you will do that would engineer a 24-hour economy? Till date, have they been able to tell you? The only thing they tell you is that on the Techiman Road, the organizer will run 24 hours. The only thing they tell you is that the watcher seller will sell watches 24 hours. The last time, one of their MPs was saying that they will build airports, and that will bring 24 hours. How many airports have we built? How did that not engineer 24 hours in those? They are not a serious political party, and that is why they would pick on such trivial issues and make it topical.
This comment has come from so many people. Perhaps we'll spend some few minutes on it as we wrap up on this conversation. The dollar today to the cedi is 15 Ghana cedis. When it was 2-3 Ghana cedis, you said the fundamentals were so weak that was the reason for the depreciation. Now it's 15 Ghana cedis. For a lot of people, this is unacceptable, and it epitomizes an economy that is in distress and questions the vice president's own, competence in terms of managing the economy. What's your response to this?
It's stressful for all of us. Every day as we wake up and we encounter this dollar situation, we are all stressed. We are all feeling it. We are all going through it, including the vice president himself. He talks about it all the time. It's a worrying situation. It epitomizes what is happening in our global space. It epitomizes what's happening in the global economy. At every point in time in the world's economy, there are challenges. When those challenges come, what world leaders do is that they put their wheels together and fix it within their countries. And that is why for the past 4, 5, 6 years, you realize that all economies in the world have been working to fix it. So it is worrying. It is distressing. I mean, you recall in 2022, it moved all the way to close to our 17 cedis.
Right.
Before 2023, we started seeing some progress. It is work in progress.
In 2021, it was 6 cedis today.
Exactly. So it's very distressing, and I won't lie to you about that. And immediately you have your currency go through that situation, it affects every other thing. It affects, because we are mainly import dependent, and that's why you are seeing our inflation behave the way it's behaving. And then it's affecting fuel prices, then it affects goods and services. We are very mindful of that. We are worried about that. And every day what we do is to profess strategies and ways to deal with this matter, and we'll continue to.
Will it come down?
Of course, it would. I mean, it was.
When and how?
It went all the way. At some point in 2023, it was around 16, close to 17.
It got to 18 cities actually.
Exactly, and then it came all the way to 11 cities. It means that it is possible for it to come down. We are in a global space. Today, you hear what is happening to the Nigerian Naira, and you hear that it's struggling. Today, you hear what is
the worst performing currency in the world.
You hear what is happening in China, where you hear that containers and shipping is becoming very expensive. I'm sure you've heard that. So there are impacts of all of these things happening. But what we need to do is that in spite of these challenges, we don't throw our hands in the air. We don't say that do whatever you want to do to us. We don't say that we are dead goats and that we don't care anymore. We don't say that to hell with you. What we're saying is that we will continue to look at short to medium term solutions to some of these things, but continuously work on fixing the fundamentals. What are the fundamentals? Ensuring that we digitalize our processes and our systems to improve our services, remove leakages, and make sure that we have a strong, robust foundation. Ensure that we build our industrial base so that we can reduce our dependence on import, which will strengthen our currency. Ensure that we do something about natural resources so that we don't just move them out of the country, but hold them to back our currency. Today, the British pound is so strong because of gold reserves. Why haven't ours been like that? And that is one of the solutions, strategies that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has professed. And it's shown positive signs. But it cannot be done overnight.
Right.
It takes a while. And so once we give ourselves time and we leave it in the hands of a stable leader, a stable leader with a sustainable plan, we are sure that eventually when we encounter such global challenges, we will be able to
find a way to deal with it.
More resilient than
just 10 seconds. When are you naming the running mates?
I'm sure in the next few weeks we should
we'll do that.
I mean, we have a plan and we have our timelines. It's quite interesting how everybody, is interested in who it will be. But it's all good. It's all part of it. Because people are also anticipating, it's always keeping our party also in the news and everybody is quite excited and anxious and quite enthusiastic about it. Let's leave it like that for a while. I'm sure very soon the flag bearer would announce, and once it announced, the person will be outlawed, and then we'll take off from there. He himself, in 2008, was announced in August.
Right.
So we are very well within our time.
Within time. Dennis, thank you very much for coming through, and I wish you well and safe as we embark on the campaign travels across the country. Right, so that's Dennis Miraculous Aboagye. He is the communication director for the Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia campaign, and he's bidding to become the next president of the Republic, and the elections is on December 7, 2024. This is your election headquarters. And